So here today, I thought I'd talk about this little thing because NETMARBLE will probably start doing something very, very soon, and not even probably, they definitely will, because you see this basically now with what we currently have as banner. Not Tristan, we're talking about Bond, right? Bond released, and yes, he is not at all in any way, shape, or form a PvE character. He, without the restriction, but he doesn't really have a restriction, right? There's no, oh, this is PvP exclusive. It's just his debuff effect does not work really with any PvE sort of content, which some of you might be saying, hey, GoGo, wait, there is still one PvE content you're not mentioning, which I'll mention. Don't worry, I know what you're saying. But Creature, Demonic Beast, he sucks. He absolutely sucks over there because he can't apply. And when he can't apply that debuff, he's not really doing too much damage because, you know, he really skills more so off debuffs. So, for example, any character obviously will not work in there, and Bond is one of them, right? But for future content and for future updates, there is something new that they're going to push the character formation and like the character kind of passive, and like when they create the character they'll also now have this in mind where, you know, if you do not summon for the character and the character sucks, maybe so in PvE or PvP, there may be somewhere where he shines, which I'll mention here today. I do want to talk about that, so let's jump into it. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe, helps out a ton. Let's check it out. So the basic thing that I am referring to is now more so Hero Arena, right? Hero Arena will be its own team comp, own meta type thing, where if you look at it right now, the team comps that are just existing are Goddess Team, Demon Team, Sin Team, Unknown Team, and some sort of like weird Patience team that JP created, which is crazy. I don't know how that works, but I'll check that later. But with it, those are the teams, yeah? And Bond sucks PvE. Bond is terrible PvE. He is, don't justify anything, because you have to apply a debuff before you get going and do damage, yes? Early stages on some Demonic Beast content can make it work, but really, there's better characters to run. Roxy is unequivocally a better character, and so is Rudis when it comes to PvE sort of activities, so just run them instead. And even Freya works more so PvE than Bond does PvE, right? So that's there, but Bond in this mode is busted, and Bond really is, like he is in PvP, he is busted in this mode, and he is able to make the Sins team actually work unequivocally because he exists. Almost every single JP tier list or every single JP site that is giving like the summaries of what you should do for this said content being Hero Arena, they always recommend you to use Bond on Sin's team. They always do, because Bond applies so much benefit to the team, keeping you alive and both giving damage reduction, doing all of that, and being allowed to like one-turn some characters here and there. He is busted, and he is very good. This is like a, you know, kind of formatted team to run, which more so, I don't know if you're running this team exactly in PvP. I've seen Deanne, but I've seen like Lost Fin instead. Again, maybe people don't have Lost Fin, so they recommended this, but whatever it is, this is a outstanding team comp. And if you look at a character like this, who is shining everywhere except PvE, this is the content he's actually shining in PvE. Where if you have him, your runs are much better. It really is. So keep that in mind. Goddess Team also. Let's say you didn't invest in Mael, you see how much more so your content is failing, right? You lost on like 2 final bosses which both needed Mael. You failed on other content also which needed Mael. So you have to look at it. If you don't invest into PvP anymore, if you look at it also, these are very strong PvP teams, right? So I think I just said PvE, but PvP. If you don't invest into PvP, this mode for you will never go well, yeah? It looks like the team comps that are PvP team comps more so get transferred here, because it's like, it's kind of the same thing. It's basically PvP, where it's, you know, player versus player in knighthood competition, but it's just transferred down to the PvE level, where an AI runs the other side, correct? So, for what it is, these are both PvP teams. I've seen variants of this, many of these, right? Where the 4th unit is obviously swapped, but for what it is, it's about the same thing. It's like 4v4 PvP in a way, yeah? So, with it, if you didn't invest in Mael, you see now where you're suffering and why you're lacking. It's good that I did say Mael was a must summon. I take that now as a W. Before you say otherwise, it was right, because he's really good. And for so much content, he's carried, okay? So, it's like the new statement that if you're not investing more so into PvP things, which we'll know right away when a character releases, if you look at Tristan, there's no need to summon for Tristan. Goddess Team is already formulated, that's there. So, if you look at it, Hero Arena is much more of a harder mode. That is how it's going to be. They recommend like a bunch of teams, by the way. I've never tried these, nor have I seen these, but this team does exist also, which I don't even know if it's good, but she has a stance cancel, I guess. She has a shield, which I don't know if that really helps you. It could, but Akin is there. I don't know. I've never tried this team, but apparently it works. So he did summon for Jobless. You have a very strong team to use. That's there, but again, I've never used it. Don't want to say too much there. This is the team that I basically use. I swapped this Zeldris out for main Zeldris, and that works. Are these even real teams? I'm so lost. How the hell are you getting Twigo in here and winning? How? How are you using Twigo? how are you using Twinkle? But apparently they made it work. We'll just go with it. Maybe JP knows more than us, dog. Maybe JP knows more than us. But for champions, they also give some strategies here. They give a bunch of strategies for a bunch of different stuff, so keep this in mind. But yes, to formulate an easy and cohesive thought for you to quickly think about, it's this. If you look at it, most of these teams that were formulated for this said content are PvP teams, due to the fact that PvP teams were designed kind of for knighthood content. And if we were to look at it, there's a lot of different teams that work. There are characters that we see in our meta over here for PvP, and we're like, yo, these are garbage, right? But in some sort of format for what knighthood competition is, people use those teams and they slap. That Freya team is like a top team for knighthood competition, but not for us, like using it against, but for a lot of players it is. And I don't know if like people tested it, like, you know, using it against that. I haven't, because I don't have that team built, but it is true that teams now moving forward will follow that, where you have to keep up with like what knighthood competition is using, where if you care for this mode, it is, right? If you don't care for Hero Arena, you don't care that you're only placing masters or below, it doesn't matter to you. But if you want to get LR units faster and you really care for it more so, then when a unit releases, and if it is better for said content like Hero Arena, which you'll find out by people telling you about it, right? If they're really good in PvP, then the alarm bell should ring off that maybe this could work in Hero Arena. And if teams start flying out like, oh, this really does work, then if you want to invest into it, that is a new thing to just keep in mind. Because yes, for this mode, there are characters like Bond that may not work in PvE, and you may not play PvP, but let's say you play Hero Arena, yeah? Bond is your character. He is actually surprisingly very good. Tristan, not so much, because, you know, he's not as good as full goddess team. That's as simple as that. That is what it is. For other teams also, remember, Demon Team, as new Demon Team characters release, maybe they take up a place of a character we currently have. Who knows, correct? Like, you have Stance Chandler, let's say a better, you know, more broken Demon character releases, where it makes the team just unequivocally a wipe. What happens then, right? So you're in this capacity that unknown team, Demon Team, Human Team, Goddess Team, Sins Team, whatever. These teams are foundations for what this mode is. But as we get more characters, maybe new teams get built. Maybe Ragnarok team with his newest Ragnarok update becomes broken for this content. What happens then? You may want to invest. Let's say the next collaboration is broken for Hero Arena, like busted. What are you gonna do then? Correct? Those are things just to keep in mind if you care for this content, because some characters may help you cheese it, which they're probably thinking in the back of their head. Okay, we now have 3 ways to sell you on a unit. If the unit is broken for Demonic Beast, that's our first way to sell you. If the unit is broken, or 4 ways actually, let's rephrase that. If the unit is broken in PvE, that's the second way. Third way is PvP. Now the 4th way is Hero Arena. Correct? That's the 4 ways they're going to sell you on a unit, where most people have to decide what do they care for more. Are they going to go for a PvP character, a PvE character, a Hero Arena character, or a Demonic Beast character? Correct? So at the end of the day, they have different metas that they're going to run, and we don't know how characters in the future will release, but you'll probably see this constantly changing and better teams get formulated to clear higher stages, correct? Goddess team may be perfect, Demon team may be perfect, but let's say there's a better team that gets formulated, a stronger team, an easier team to build. What happens then, right? That's the same metric. But if you're able to clear the top of the top, why are you watching? You're able to clear the top. You're good to go. There's no need for you, right? But yes, that is the one that I wanted to get across, just so you know for the future. And we see as time progresses how Arena evolves, Hero Arena evolves. We have to also see what happens. Like, what happens with this thing after we get into the final week and we're done? What happens then? Are we going to get into the new part of Labyrinth? Or is Hero Arena going to be constantly on cycle? What's going to happen, right? We don't know. It would be really cool if Labyrinth drops and you get like max LR currency without having to, like, you know, just sweat your absolute balls off. But we'll see what happens, right? That's the one thing we don't know, so we will see how that is approached. But yeah, overall, just wanted to talk about that here today. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, peace, and enjoy. And that's been it for me. Just a real quick topic. Yeah.